Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before getting to my questions, I just want to talk briefly about President Trump's decision to basically drag America into another war in the Middle East without congressional approval. The Constitution is very clear for the reason for congressional approval. If you look at the debate during the Constitutional Convention, our founders were very clear that having unconditional power for a president to go into war was a power too great. It reminded them of the king that they had just defeated in the Revolutionary War, and believed that the People's House, the Congress, in Article 1 of the Constitution, should have that power to declare war and to bring those powers into play. As a Navy reservist, former Navy reservist, I served in Bahrain and the UAE, places right now that are under risk. Our service members are under risk in those places for attack. My thoughts are certainly with them and others serving through the Middle East. I know the thoughts of all American people are with the men and women who are serving in the Middle East as well. But what I am hearing from my constituents is that they do not want to send their sons and daughters to war. That is not something the American people want. In fact, what I hear from them is they want to see costs come down in America. They're paying too much. Costs continue to go up. Trump policies have raised prices. Now we may see spikes in energy prices. They don't want a war. Now, I want to be clear. Iran is a bad actor, and we must ensure that they never, ever produce nuclear weapons. But I also want to be clear. We should remember that we had a diplomatic agreement with Iran on nuclear proliferation, and President Trump withdrew from that from that agreement during his first term without a plan, and he was basically playing politics. I get it, but now he's sending U.S. forces back to the Middle East to fight in a war without the support of Congress and without the support of the American people. And that's why the administration must immediately seek congressional approval to make clear to not just to Congress, but more importantly to the American people, that there's an actual end goal and there's an actual strategy to ensure that what he is doing there actually protects our homeland security as opposed to endangering it. So, Mr. Colby, my question for you is, President Trump has provided a number of conflicting reasons for his decision to declare war himself unilaterally on Iran. And at no time did he ever offer any evidence of an imminent attack, as we heard from my colleague, which would be an exception to getting immediate approval if there's an imminent attack. No evidence of that. Sometimes he has stated a goal is regime change. Sometimes it's about eliminating the proxy forces, ballistic missiles, a list of things that he is considering as goals for the program. The president has also stated he is willing to negotiate with the current regime to bring an end to hostilities. But I want to remind you of a discussion we had in January of last year. We met prior to your confirmation hearing, and you shared, and you were very clear, that you did not want to enter another war in the Middle East without a clear purpose and a clear end state. We're not hearing that. I want to hear from you what you think that is. You have been consistent on this point throughout your career. In fact, in some of the articles I have, a recent one, just in 21, just a few short years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, where you said that U.S. military focus on Iran should be dramatically reduced, and requests for additional U.S. forces to, quote, deter Iran should be rejected. You also said Iran can be checked from any plausibility of dominating the Gulf states by supporting theirs and Israel's efforts to check Iran's ambitions. They can do it. You also said Iran draws critical resources, including leadership attention and popular support, from far more important defensive objectives, namely ensuring a favorable and stable balance of power in Asia. So my question for you, sir, is given your strongly held beliefs that you told me face-to-face in my office, and you were very sincere in those efforts, I never would question what you said, do you feel the president has actually articulated a clear purpose and an end state to the American people? Has he articulated to the American people that we need to go to war in Iran?
Well, thank you, Senator. I appreciate the detailed and thoughtful question. I would just say I think the goal, first of all, in terms of your questions on the imminence issue and the legality, I know there's going to be a briefing later today, and I defer to my general counsel and intelligence counterparts to get you the answer you need on that. I do think that the president and the military campaign, the president has directed the military campaign. Obviously, those are not exclusive of the of other goals like his encouragement to the Iranian people to take this opportunity. This is to degrade, and I mentioned some of those things. And in fact, Senator, the Israelis are taking the lead. I mean, it's the Israelis who are conducting a great deal of these operations, and it's the Gulf states that are actually conducting a lot of operations as well, and some of our European partners. And I think you've seen the reaction, not just from regional partners, but countries like Canada, Australia, a number of the German chancellor yesterday. So I think I'm not on the uniform side, but the Department of War has been provided with, we are going to degrade and destroy the Iranian missile threat, the one-way attack drone threat, and the Navy in particular, and of course, be in a position to deny Iran's ability to obtain a nuclear weapon.